A major part of this strategy since 1961 has consisted of building slowly and installing a very dictatorial regional world government over all of Europe, on top of the existing socialist bureaucracies that are in the governments of each of these countries, over all of Europe, and now sadly also Britain, in the form of the European Union. And this constitutes an accomplishment of Leninist strategy, as predicted by Golitsyn. And of course, while the KGB had infiltrated all the European governments and the British government, as they had infiltrated the American CIA and other parts of the United States government, in addition to that, the current treaty arrangements between the European Union, based in Brussels, and the new Russia, mean that there's even further, tighter Soviet and KGB control over the foreign policy of this new globalist regional government that controls Russia, that controls Europe, and controls Britain.
I don't disagree with any of that. One of the important things that Golitsyn teaches us in the Perestroika Deception is that it doesn't matter who wins an election, the communists always win. Now, the reason for that is that every single political activist you see on the Moscow stage, if you can be bothered to see what's going on, because, by the way, the TV cameras are only focused on Moscow. Right. You never see what's going on in Leningrad or in Tbilisi or in Alma-Ata or anywhere else, only Moscow. That's where the controls take place, because all the other so-called, you know, free republics now, they're controlled, of course. These republics, you know, they're still Stalinist states, almost entirely. There's hardly any, I don't think there are any exceptions to that. But this business of controlling all the political parties and giving them, allowing them to adopt different names, you know, this was a conscious policy which was laid down by Gorbachev and Yeltsin at the 28th Party Congress in July 1990. Both Gorbachev and Yeltsin made speeches in which they said to the comrades, now is the time to follow whatever path you feel would be most appropriate. In a nutshell, that's what they said. We have the two quotes in my book, the European Union Collective. So that's what I call democratism, which is the creation and maintenance of the illusion of democracy. Now, that pattern is being implemented in the European Union because by various means, almost all the participants, even at national level, in the political process, are selected for the job or are, you know, appointed or are chosen. Now, it's quite difficult to explain this, but in Britain there's an extremely lethal piece of legislation which requires all political parties to register at a central registration point, and it basically dictates what the political parties can and cannot do. But in the European at the European level, no political party can participate in the European Parliament if it's not 100% signed up to the idea of the European project.
And submission to the authority of this regional world government based in Brussels, which is now imposing dictatorial controls on a daily basis down to the most minute level of business and human activity on all residents of Europe and increasingly in Britain. And if you read the Financial Times newspaper, you see examples daily and in the Wall Street Journal of how the European Union is trying to tell people and businesses in the United States what they will do.
That's quite true. When Gorbachev visited London briefly for a day on the 23rd of March 2000, and during that visit he made a statement which I repeated at every opportunity. He acknowledged and stated that the European Union is the new European Soviet, and I quote. That's what it is. Now, let me describe the European Union, what it really is. It is a political collective. So all these British politicians who constantly talk about the need to be in the center of Europe and the need to influence, you know, for Britain's great experience to be used for the benefit of the Europeans so that they, you know, so that we can influence what they do, are completely wasting their breath. They are insulting our intelligence. This is a political collective. In a political collective, decisions are taken collectively. No individual nation can take any decisions. Now,
So it destroys the sovereignty completely of all the individual nations.
We have no sovereignty. We have no interests. And we have politicians in Westminster who talk about British interests. We have delegated and collectivized those interests. Now, there are a few residual peculiar exceptions. For example, there's a thing called the Common Foreign and Security Policy, which is part of the collectivization process. Well, Britain flouted that policy by joining the United States in respect of this Iraqi operation. But we shouldn't have done that. The Europeans didn't know what to do and threw up their hands in horror. But this will probably be the last chance we'll have if we don't get out of it.